Hey Brandy, alright, let's take a look at your first assignment here. I see your note a little concerning that you didn't turn the pose in right. Lots of critique that changed it up a little bit, but for the most part, I managed to keep it pretty close to my original sketch. So that's great. I mean, it's good that you're getting notes for changing things up, and it is that balance. Like what you want to do is really try to find that balance of like what your original vision is, and then also exploring that with your character and with your with the actual rig. And sometimes you'll find that you change that direction a little bit. Like you don't necessarily have to stick with your thumbnails. It's actually a good idea to kind of move forward and use your thumbnails again. Like I said in the Q&A, it's more of like a note. Like you're taking that note down, and it's okay if you evolve into a different direction. So don't be too stuck on that either. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect match between the two. That's the main point, is that this is more of like you're getting your ideas down, but of course they're going to evolve as you work on the project. So yeah, just to clarify that's something you don't want to get too attached to. But at the same time, you want to keep that direction. And that's also a reason why, like in your sketchbook here, that's why I suggest taking that pose and drawing it more than one time, and just keep drawing it until you just get that idea down on paper in a very solid way. That also gives you more opportunities to explore on paper and just say, okay, like this is the direction I'm going. And so, but yeah, I mean, like that's the main thing, is like just keep this loose on here and know that it can change. And so, with that said, let's just take a look at your sketchbook. Is looking pretty good. I do like that there is a lot of exploration going on here. Some really interesting poses. You're putting emotions in these poses too. Like I'm reading all these different emotions in your characters, and some are just plain action poses, and that's good too. Just you have a whole bunch of different things going on in here. So for this one you picked, yeah, this is one I'd definitely say like try different ways of drawing it, and just thinking about, you drew it once, but try it again and kind of loosen up a little bit. Like I feel like you're focusing probably a little too much on the actual volume of the character, like the outer edges, than the line of action, and just like making it really loose. And stick figures are okay. Like I draw stick figures with my thumbnails. If I'm gonna like try to loosen up a little bit here, let me like if I'm gonna draw a thumbnail, I'm gonna want it to be really loose and make sure that I'm almost just doing a stick figure. I'm not drawing to impress anybody here. I'm drawing to get my idea out and really think about what it is that I'm doing. So that said, something like that, I mean, just like super quick sketches are almost better. I'm drawing maybe a little bit of outline, but they're almost better than going and spending your time on the actual volume of the character and like getting the outline, making it quick and stick-like. And that's why I think it was that Wayne Gilbert book. I need to actually, I'll ask my coworker. He's back from vacation today, so I'm gonna get that information. But that book has like really good way of just like quickly getting those ideas down and getting more about the pose and the exaggeration of the pose and the staging and the line of action, everything, than the outlines and everything. But yeah, a great start. You're definitely on to a good start. There's a lot there was a lot of a feeling, like a genuine feeling to these poses. It's not just a bunch of stuff that you put down on paper without any thought to it. So that's a really good start with that. Okay, and so this pose, definitely getting the Matrix vibe here. So yeah, this one, going back to your sketchbook, we want to kind of explore that line and see what we can get. And just try to simplify that pose as much as possible with that line of action. And that's just something that I'm kind of getting this out of it. I mean, see, you're drawing the line down the spine, and it's not necessarily always down the spine. You have to think about like the overall force at your character. Like this one, I'd say maybe that's more the line of action because that's the direction that it's going in. You know, the weight and everything is back here, so that could be interpreted either way, but like you want to think about where that force is going more with that line of action. Something like this, you see the line isn't as pronounced, but you're still going to get some sort of line in there. So with that, let's take a look at that. And like my biggest note here is that you can push the direction of your character. Like don't be afraid to hyperextend the leg and really get a nice curvature in the spine that shows that line. Okay, one thing to watch out for is, let me just draw this really quickly. This looks good. I like that. There's not too much foreshortening on that, but I mean, like basically, the thing that you want to watch out for is that if you're starting to bend the spine and the upper part of the spine starts to curve in a little bit too much, then you're going too far with it. Think about like with the human body, like all this stuff, it's pretty solid, right? We have the rib cage and all this, you know, really kind of non-flexible stuff up here, and then down here is where it's more flexible. So if you see, even though there's a control in your character to move that, if you start bending that too far forward, it'll start to look off. So what you want to do is try to think about this segment of the spine moving together, and that is going to be, the bend is going to happen more around this area than it is around this top area. But yeah, this is a really good opportunity to think about that line, and I'll draw it as I go. You know, this looks good with the arm and nice hand pose. Like I really like this stuff. And one thing that we want to also think about is the neck. That when with that line, we can get a nice bit of extension from that spine with the neck. And this is why I showed you guys in the Q&A the translation, like you can actually translate the head up, because it gives like a really nice, because the head is so big, a lot of times it covers that area, and it kind of takes away from the cleanliness of that line. So I would move that head up and really show that neck there. So we're getting that neck in here. Let me draw it in a different color so you can kind of see what I'm saying, like right here. And it's away from the body a little bit. Also straighten the head out, because if you think about it, like a lot of times, if you're even like, if we think about that pose in the Matrix, like getting into that pose, and Keanu Reeves' character is looking for it, and that head, there's no real like bend to the head, like it's really forced forward, and that's one thing a lot of people tend to forget, is that like when the head is tracking something, it stays pretty straight in where it's going. So in this case, there's going to be that tracking, that focus. So we want to make sure that head is straight. And so yeah, this all overall looks pretty good. I mean, you have some good silhouettes here. I would, yeah. So the main thing here is just like the spine, and then taking the cog control, like the main control, and just moving it back to where it's actually getting more of an exaggeration on the overall character. But yeah, we're seeing that line now, and as it goes through, we're getting a little bit more force out of this pose. One other thing with the hand pose here, on this one, I would try to just simplify this hand pose a little bit more. It's already being covered up by the body, and that's totally fine. So I would just make that either a fist or some shape that's a little bit more simple, just because I'm thinking about like the outer, thinking about like what it looks like, you know, the overall shape here. And remind me if I forget tomorrow about just hand poses in general, because I can go over that. And that's something that's good to know. But like a lot of times, if with the hand pose, the simplicity, the simple pose is the best one to go with, and that's one that we can get there. So overall, Brandon, good start. Good first start. And let me rewind what I just said. great first start. Everything is looking really good. It's just a matter of thinking more about the simplification of the line and reiteration on every pose. Like, if you do a pose that you like, keep working on it on those thumbnails. Keep drawing it over and over again and just trying to work that out on there. And don't be afraid to stray from your source material. Like it's a guide, but a lot of times in animation it's an art form, so there's a lot of times that we're gonna stray from what we originally envisioned, and in fact that's part of that progress, that moving forward. So yeah, that's it. Let me know if you have any questions. All right, thanks.